Today, we're going to tackle one of the most fundamental parts of Linux, its file system. We're going to take what looks like a super complex maze and turn it into a simple, logical blueprint, your own personal map to your entire digital world. Let's dive in.
Have you ever had that moment? You open up a terminal, type ls, and you're just staring at this strange collection of folders, feeling completely lost. Trust me, you are definitely not alone. It can feel like being dropped into a labyrinth with no guide. But that's all about to change.
Because here's the secret. It's not a maze at all. It's actually a highly organized blueprint, just like the plans for a big city. And once you get the layout, getting around becomes second nature. And of course, every city plan needs a single starting point.
And here it is, this one, // This is the root directory. It is the absolute top of the entire system. Every single file, every folder, every device on your computer is tucked away somewhere inside this directory. It's the foundation of our whole digital city.
Okay, so let's clear something up right away, because this trips up pretty much everyone at first. You see slash and you see /root, and it's so easy to think they're the same thing. They're not. The single // is the root of the entire system, our city's foundation. /root is just the personal home folder for the superuser or the system admin. Think of it this way. / is the entire building, /root is just the manager's office inside it.
All right, our foundation is set. So let's start our tour in the most important district, the system's engine room. This is where all the core commands and files that make your Linux system actually, run, are kept.
First stop is the bin directory. I like to think of this as the city's public workshop. It's filled with all the essential tools that every single user needs access to. You know, commands like ls to list files or cp to copy them, they live right here. These are the basic, everyday tools for all the citizens of our city.
Now, right next door, you've got /sbin. This is the restricted workshop. It's also full of tools, but these are the powerful, heavy-duty ones meant only for the system administrator. We're talking commands for shutting down the system or setting up the network. That S in sbin stands for system, and these tools are kept under lock and key for a very good reason. So, all those great tools in /bin and /sbin, they can't work all by themselves. They need shared bits of code to function, and that's exactly what /lib provides. It's like a shared library of code. Without the books in this library, all the tools in those workshops are basically useless chunks of metal.
And now for the administrative hub of our city, /etc. This is City Hall. It holds all of the system-wide configuration files, the rules for how the network should work, which users can do what, how programs should start up. All of those critical settings are defined in text files right here in /etc.
Now, what about the most critical moment for our city? Actually starting it up. That's where /boot comes in. This directory holds the ignition keys. It has the Linux kernel itself and all the other files needed to get the operating system running when you press the power button. It's a small directory, but it's absolutely vital.
Okay, we've seen the engine room, but a city isn't just about machinery, right? It's about the people and the places they go. So for this next part of our tour, let's check out where you, the user, and your applications actually live.
This is probably the directory you'll spend most of your time in, /home. It's the residential district of our city. For every normal user on the system, there's a personal folder right here. This is your private house, where you keep your documents, your downloads, your pictures, all your stuff. So when you install new software, where does it actually go? Well, most of it ends up in /usr. You can think of this as the city's main shopping mall. It's a huge directory that holds the actual programs, libraries, and documentation for most of the software you install. But sometimes you get a third-party application that kind of likes to keep to itself. That's where opt comes in. It's like a specialty boutique in our city. Software that gets installed here usually keeps all of its files in one single subfolder, which makes it really easy to add or remove without messing with the rest of the system. So far, most of the places we've visited are relatively static. But our city is alive. It's a dynamic place where things are happening all the time. And that brings us to the part of the system that holds its living, breathing data. Now, this is where things get really cool. Not everything you see in the file system is a real file on your hard drive. This group of directories, /proc, /sys, /run, and /var, they're special. They hold data that's constantly changing, reflecting the current state of your running system. Let's look at proc and sys. You can think of these as the system's live dashboard. They are packed with virtual files that give you a real-time window into what the kernel is doing.
You can peek in here to see live info about your CPU, what programs are running, and what hardware is connected.
Next up is var, which, as the name suggests, stands for variable. This is our city's logbook. Files in here are expected to grow and change all the time. It holds things like system logs, web server files, and printer queues. If you're ever playing detective trying to figure out why something broke, the log files in var are always the first place you should look.
And what about data that you only need for a little while? Well, that goes in /temp. This is the system's self-cleaning drawer. Applications use it to stash temporary files while they're running. But a word of warning, don't store anything important here because this directory usually gets completely emptied out every time you reboot your computer.
Okay, our city is fully functional, but it doesn't exist in a bubble. It needs to talk to hardware and connect to other devices. For our final section, let's see how the file system connects to the outside world. This is the dev directory, which is short for devices, and it perfectly captures that classic Linux philosophy that everything is a file. Your hard drives, your speakers, your mouse, your webcam, they are all represented as a file right here in this directory. It's a really clever way to let programs talk to hardware in a standard way.
So what happens when you plug in a USB drive? Well, this finally clears up the difference between /media and /mnt. On modern systems, your USB drive will automatically show up inside the /media directory. But /mnt, on the other hand, is just a generic temporary spot for you to manually attach or mount a file system if you ever need to.
And finally, we have /srv. If your machine is providing a service, like if it's hosting a website or an FTP server, this directory is where you're supposed to put the data for those services. It's the service counter of our city, containing the stuff that the system serves up to other computers.
And there you have it. That's our grand tour of the Linux file system. What might have seemed like a crazy, confusing maze is now a clear, logical map. Every directory has its place, every folder has its purpose. So now that you have the map, where are you going to explore first?